Friday night at the G, a fierce old rivalry in a team that came out to make a statement. The chant of Collingwood echoed around the Coliseum, and what followed was nothing short of a demolition job. Hawthorn got a little cheeky early, but in a classic McRae Magpie fashion, the Pies said thanks for coming. A 51-point win, a 5-goal haul from Jamie Elliott, and a game with 2 massive questions when the storm settled. Are Hawthorn done? And are Collingwood premiership favourites? We dive into that and more. Make sure you hit that like button, turn that notification bell on. Let's run the intro and let's digest this great game. So the final score was Collingwood 16-11-107, defeating Hawthorn 8 goals, 8-56. And Hawthorn did come out of the blocks quite strong. Ginny did his best poker face, as he often does, slotting one against his old mob. But that was where the pleasantries for the Hawthorn end, because from there on in, the Pies took over. They punished very early on turnover. Every loose kick, every missed handball. 71 points from turnover to Hawthorn's 29. That is a complete procession. And while the Hawks won first ball from stoppages, 42-27, they only broke even and lost stoppage scores. Let's say they won the ball but did nothing with it. And when they got the ball, they were swarmed. This game was about polish, structure, and Magpie hunger. And the Pies are absolutely sopping wet with all 3. Let's jump onto the tactical breakdown. Pressure versus no pressure. Collingwood 82 tackles, Hawthorn 38. That's not a stat. That is exposing a lack of desire. The Hawks got walked over again. No day, no direction, no pressure, no presence. And it's not a one-off, because last week they had 36 tackles too. Compare that to Collingwood. They bring the heat, they bring the pressure. They brought the Hawks physically and mentally in and around the clutches and then looked to get the ball out on the spread. Especially through the second and third term, they completely iced the game very quickly. And the entry efficiency, Collingwood 44 inside 50s for 28 shots, 63.6 shot conversion versus Hawthorn's 45 high 50s, 19 shots, 42.2. Same volume, vastly different outcomes. Why is that? The Pies lower the eyes. They look to change the angle. They look for the short hit-ups outside 65. They really do hit them leading targets. They have them very prominent leads into the pocket from Membry, Jamie Elliott coming from the pocket up to centre-half forward, and they make smart choices. Hawthorn, because of the pressure, they had to go along and hope for miracles. And when you've only got Shaw as your main forward target, that is a recipe for disaster. Let's get on to them talking points. Are the Hawks done? Look, it's not panic stations. It's maybe a little bit of a realisation. When you've won first possession, broke even in centre clearance, and you lose your stoppage, that says the midfield is disconnected, particularly from his outside help and from his forward line. The spread is literally non-existent. Will Day, I think, is a massive catastrophic loss to this. They don't have his line break. They don't have his link-up play between the arcs. But the tackling is something that is unforgivable, showing no hunger to win the ball, no willingness to apply second efforts, and a team that almost feels like it relies on vibes than system in the last couple of weeks. They've lost a few on the bounce now, and the Dogs are next. It only gets harder, but they've got to snap out of it. Will Day comes back in a couple of weeks' time, but they've got to look at something else. Josh Weddle seems an incredible good user and flirts breaking the lines down halfback. Is that something? Are they too tall down the back? The Battle Barras combination, although it looks good on the stat sheet, it isn't really providing any zip off the halfback line. So Hawks have got something to do. They've got to look at what they can change. Talking point 2 was, are the Pies flag favourites? Well, the short answer is probably yes. This team can do it all. It can play slow, it can play fast, it can play ugly, it can play pretty, it can rest players. Too old, too slow, absolutely no. They can grind a game out. That's a huge tick. They can hit the scoreboard in clusters. That's a tick. They can lock it up and kill momentum. That's a tick. And they can also control the pace of the game better than any other team. They've built a list that adapts and a coaching group that knows how to use it. Jamie Elliott with 22 goals, now equal Coleman leader at the time of recording this. Mihocek with 4. Sidebottom, he's still winding back the clock, causing havoc. Nick Dacos, even when he's quiet, he's dominant. But this system stands out. They rested players last week. They come in fresh. Schultz gets injured halfway through, but Mo McQuarrie again goes from his midfield role to a more half-forward role, slots in. The back line looks fantastic. Quaynor this week was a right nuisance. Moore, Howe, Frampton, they might be old, as people say, but they're incredibly clever, and they can rest blokes. And this list has got depth because they're not here for round 12 glory. It's obvious they're building for September, and they're building very, very well. Collingwood, let's look at their standout performers. Jamie Elliott, impossible to match. He is in career best form, arguably one of the best players that plays his position in his role in the competition and not getting the glaze that other players do. Hard-working, selfless leads, could have had more as well. And I think a lesser team would target him more with the ball inside 50 because the leads he makes are phenomenal. Nick Dacos, 32 touches. He makes the game look so easy. His ability just to pop up here and there and be that transitional player as well. Real strong. Steel Sidebottom, 2 goals. Definitely there's a fountain of youth somewhere at that holding centre. Brody Mihocek, workhorse, another forward that doesn't get the glaze that his more glamorous counterparts do. Real hard working, stays deep in the goal square, leads late. Ed Allan, 23 touches, 5 intercepts, huge performance on the wing. When you've moved Josh Dacos to halfback, you're looking at that, and they have kept Ed Allan very hungry in the VFL, and his last 2 games have been nothing short of spectacular. His 2-way running is a real delight. And Quaynor and Frampton building up quite a little partnership. A lot of times you saw Frampton bring the ball to ground. Quaynor was there. They really do shut down well. Let's look at Hawthorn. Ginny, 31 touches, 3 goals in the midfield. I'm surprised about this one because I feel like with Nick Watson going completely ghost mode in this game, you want Ginny up forward. It'd be interesting if they flirt Nick Watson to try and get him invested in the ball. The games I watch of Hawthorn, if Watson doesn't seem to get something going early, he seems to check out. And Weddle and Nash, effort was there. Weddle particularly really does stand out. An incredible footballer. And it is kind of like a question for a non-Hawthorn fan. Is it time just to flirt Josh Weddle around the ball? Give you something different. Try and get that spread going. Because at times they did win a lot of the ball. They just couldn't do anything. So some quick fire notes. The Meek versus Cameron battle. It looked a pretty good one. I think this really showcased what both of them do for their system. It was a real system-based effort. However, Meek probably took the gloss off any performance because he might serve a suspension for that Lipinski hit. Gunston, he lost his rag. The 20-metre kick, that was 15. It's one of them things, but he did stand out in that forward line. At times, he was a lone wolf in that forward half. The defence for Hawthorn is reactive. They really did look panicked when they came in. Where Pies, it's all about structure. Everyone knows who's on who, and they're very good at communicating when someone peels off. And Quaynor on Nick Watson was absolutely elite. There was no magic from him. Quaynor has really improved his defensive craft this year, and he's probably not talked about enough. So where does that leave us then? Collingwood, they have a nice break, and then they've got a blockbuster game this week coming up. They're full of confidence, full of belief, and with a plan that at the minute seems fit for any scenario. Hawthorn have got some tough tests to come, and they'll get questions, big ones. Is 2025 slipping away from them? Is this a case that no one's surprised by their game style anymore, and because of the injuries, they haven't added them extra layers? Let me know in the comments. Do you think Pies are flag favourites? Can the Hawks turn it round? And if you've enjoyed the way, they do me a solid. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you very soon. Loads of AFL content coming up. Of the footy, and at the moment, it looks like 2025 is Magpie season. Pom out.